Caraham says this petition demands that President Obama immediately issue an executive order to establish a presidential task force, or commission, to do what the proposed bill, H.R. 40, is intended to do relative to reparations for us descendants of slaves in America. Without question, reparations and the right to self-determination are human rights that have been denied. Furthermore, America has never repaired the damage she inflicted on us during centuries of brutal, dehumanizing slavery, the Jim Crow era, and our current economic oppression and deprivation. You are asked to proudly and enthusiastically stand up for our human rights by signing this petition. In addition, we are asking that you, with determination, pass it on to all of your contacts everywhere. The cruelty associated with slavery is a human rights issue, just as those whom received reparations approached the situation. Japanese reparations in 1980s was paid out of our tax dollars for captivity in American concentration camps during the war. The American Indians' reparations is directly linked to the genocide of their nation, a human rights issue. So our pursuit for reparations does have a leg to stand on. Collect enough signatures to serve as a civil action suit. The African American Farmers Association won a civil action suit against the USA in 1998. The key component is to stand in solidarity under the provisions of a civil action suit. The petition engaged Jeff Savage and myself into a conversation of Facebook.
Yes, we blacks find it offensive to hear of our brutal and oppressive history in the United States being used as political fodder by Democrats, Republicans, and local race pimp. The only way to stop it is to make reparations to the descendants of slaves in America. We, the signers of this petition, demand that President Obama immediately issue an executive order to form a presidential task force, or commission, that mirrors the purpose, intent, and direction of the proposed U.S. House of Representatives Bill, H.R. 40, as it was originally sponsored by Representative John Conyers. The sole purpose and goal of this presidential task force, or commission, is to determine how reparations will be made to the descendants of slaves in America. Thank you for signing and supporting human rights.
This is not going to happen during an election year. The party of Obama, no matter what, would rally around any hint on Obama's part that he was advancing reparation policies. These folks are focusing on turning back the hands of time to those days that are best gone with the wind. They are employing tough on crime measures to corral and control blacks, while exploiting nearly free labor at a substantial profit. We must focus our efforts on getting Obama re-elected so that he might have the time, resources, and opportunity to advance this policy. But, at present, the last thing these teabaggers will do is grant reparations when they despise even feeding hungry kids.
That's a rather hopeless position to take, Eddie Campbell. Think positive about our future. Besides, the Tea Party has launched a grassroots protest that has netted huge results. Talks about their racist rants and positions are unfounded rumors promoted by the left-leaning racist media. More importantly, I know of no position on the issues they've taken in which I disagree.
I strongly disagree, Jeff Savage. I'm just keeping it real based on 11 years of extensive, intensive, well-documented research. He who buries his head in the sand is likely to rise up only to discover that he too has been encaged by a barbed-wired fence. Sun Tzu says when the climate is not conducive to your cause, better to retreat and regroup so that you may live to fight another day. If an eagle breaks the neck of its prey, or in this case the prey seek restitution from the predator, it is all because of the timing. It is not what Romney says that you should be concerned about. It's about what he does and what he has consistently done in the past. A leopard cannot change his spots.
Attorney Campbell's perspectives and approach are best and right.
Arrest.
This is to remain a grassroots efforts. For most of my life, I thought the NAACP would be an ally in this call, but it appears the NAACP no longer focuses its efforts on the plight of us blacks. Saddening is the number of educated and professional blacks who have negative responses to the reparations question. I remind myself of a couple of things. 1. A job has been done on our people, and 2. Hopelessness among blacks in America is not limited to those blacks who are poor and uneducated. The current president is definitely not interested in reparations, or anything else, for us descendants of slaves in America. I most definitely will be presenting the same question to Mr. Romney. I must not be the only one, too.
The NAACP's hands are tied. Because of 501c3 restrictions, they cannot engage in politics without suffering the risk of losing their tax-free, tax-deductible status, upon which their existence depends. They cannot even educate, only registrate. The NAACP can only react to the waves of the times because they can't even take any action to discourage or deflate the growing anti-black sentiment, let alone encourage Obama to shoot his campaign in the foot by stepping out on this issue. During these times, if you don't focus on which candidate is elected president first, the matter will resolve itself because Romney will immediately squash all discussion of this matter and proceed along the plan to further enslave our people under the pretext of being tough on crime.
Attorney Campbell, what you shared is untrue. The NAACP's hands weren't tied when they chose to support same-sex marriage and their nationwide efforts to derail ballot initiatives designated marriages between a man and a woman. As a matter of fact, the organization has an active political action committee, has reparations as an agenda too far back on the list to find it, and they constantly pass resolutions addressing issues. That is the healthcare legislation, immigration, and the foolish notion of opposing the requirement to show an ID to vote.
Jeff Savage, you are blindly leading the blind over a cliff. The timing is not right for this movement.
Attorney Campbell, that's the same line racist white folk have used relative to reparations for us descendants of slaves since slavery's supposed end. That's the same line that has left our people out of economic and political freedoms. It's one thing to call me blind, but who are the blind you're referring to in your claim? While you're answering that one, tell me something. Why are you against our people?
Passing resolutions to address is not action, and the matters you list are of more immediate importance because of the reasons which I state above. Besides, the NICF was not created to represent homosexuals per se, it was created to represent blacks. Their power to do so now being specifically limited with respect to the purpose for which they were created. They were sued once for engaging in political activity while Cornerstone weaseled out of worst allegations. Nobody seems to care about its stance on gays. They are being restricted from empowering blacks, as they did in the 60s and when Thurgood Marshall fought Brown vs. Board of Evacuation via the NAACP. The board of today's NAACP Legal Defense Fund is comprised mostly by whites, who dare to ask of its black alumni scholarship recipients, which includes myself, are blacks and pushy women the cause of our society's decline.
The NAACP is in deep with Democrats. Democrats have a very long history of being anti-black people's progress and freedom and dignity and our human rights.
What? If you say that about Democrats, I can't wait to hear what you have to say for racist right-wing Republicans. You even hijacked Obama's colors and theme to give the illusion that you have the backing of Obama and his movement, when in fact you are hoping to create a backlash against him and Democrats. My mind is difficult to distinguish those wolves who are cloaked in sheep's wool.
I did not adopt anything from Mr. Obama. If your reference is to the web portal, change.org, that is not a creation of mine. While I do not hate him, President Obama stated on the campaign trail that he was against reparations for us blacks. When he said that, I was through with him, politically. I do not need Mr. Obama to stand up for my people and for what I believe. By the way, you cannot cite anything racist about the GOP that cannot be attributed to the Democrats, who gave us the KKK, Bull Connor, Jim Crow, prison industrial complex, etc. Why do you think notables, Harriet Tubman, Martin King, Jr., Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey were Republicans? Neither party has delivered on reparations. The GOP is probably our better chance of the two.
You are sadly mistaken, Mr. Savage. I have, many times. Heads up. If you truly believe that the GOP is your best hope, you have more to lose than the battle for reparations. Bet on it. There is more to fear than fear itself. Our very own who suffer from lack of knowledge.
From what I've learned, Attorney Marissa, many blacks condemn the GOP, but they never cite any facts to support their claims. Surely you are aware that the Republican Party calling for the end of slavery was met with strong resistance from the Democrats. Surely, Counselor, You know that the Democrats filibustered and fought bitterly against the Voting Rights Act and other civil rights legislation. The Democrats haven't changed, either.
That is why, with control of all three branches of government, Mr. Obama found difficulty his first 2 years in office, why our ethics investigations was against only black members of Congress and why there are no blacks in the U.S. Senate.